Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Premier League Check-In podcast. It is episode 3, and we're already up to an international break. Matt, you and I covered it. I'm shaking his head already. You and I covered the EFL, so at least we've had 4 games. But yeah, no sooner have we begun than we'll take a little bit of a rest, Matt.
It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Either way you look at it, if you're in good form, you want to keep playing. If you've just lost a game, you want to bounce back. What can you do? There's always one quite early in the season. It just feels that little bit earlier than usual after 3 games. But we'll still talk football. There were some interesting results, and we'll see what happens when we come back from the international break as well.
Well, you've set me up beautifully to read out those interesting results. It was Arsenal 1, Brighton 1, Brighton going to Brighton. Brentford 3, Southampton 1, Everton 2, Bournemouth 3. Please check the clip from week 1 of this podcast where Matt preempted this happening annoyingly for Everton, and just a balmy defeat there. I was at Ipswich 1, Fulham 1, so we probably won't mention that. You can check out my vlog elsewhere on the channel. Leicester 1, Villa 2. Forest 1, Wolves 1. West Ham 1, Manchester City 3. Chelsea 1, Palace 1. It was Newcastle 2, Spurs 1. We're on to the Sunday games now. And we rounded it out. Our mouth-watering matchup ended. Manchester United 0. Liverpool 3, which is going to take us seamlessly to Matt's moment. And we are following that through line, Matt. Matt's moment is
Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3. And before we really get into it, I've got 2 questions to ask the viewers to answer down in the comments. First thing is, can Liverpool win the Premier League? What chance do you give them? And the second thing is, with Manchester United, will they be closer in terms of points to the bottom 3 than the title? Because last season, Ben, they were 31 points behind first place and only 34 above 18th. And it was a low tide at the bottom. So I'm not even just trying to be mean here. I do wonder, could Manchester United actually be closer to the bottom 3 in terms of points than top of the table? This was just a one-sided game. It just kind of shows where these clubs are at the moment. Look, we said before this game, didn't we, Ben, that on their day and when they choose to be, Manchester United can stand up to Liverpool. We saw that last season with, I think it was 2 draws in the league, and they beat them in the FA Cup. But this was so one-sided, and the golfing class was phenomenal. I mean, fair play to Liverpool. Let's be fair. Liverpool good, Manchester United not so good. It is a bit of both here. Let's talk about Liverpool first then. Really good start now because it's 3 wins from 3, no goals conceded. And, I think a lot of us, even Liverpool fans, would be thinking, is it going to be big boots to fill for Slot? Because you look at when Ferguson's left United and Wenger's left Arsenal, these big staples have left. It's difficult to replace them straight away, but Slot has come in. It's been a great start. And I'm like you, I don't necessarily believe in a new manager bounce. I think this is just quality that we are seeing so far. And to be honest, the reason I think they could be in a title race, I know it's early on, but they've still got a lot of that spine from the team that did win the title those years ago. They didn't have a lot of players coming in this window, but they've kept most of the players in Alisson, Van Dijk, McAllister, Trent, Robertson, and then it's Diaz who gets 2 goals, Salah who gets the other one. And they just look so good. It's still early, but they haven't conceded. They're scoring goals, and this just looked like a walk in the park for them.
And Salah looks like he can put one of those crazy seasons where it's maybe, this sounds stupid if we were talking about other players, but like 25 goals and 18 assists or something, and that can drive you towards the title. And they look a little bit kind of, I'm not going to say they weren't slick because they were amazing under Klopp, but it was very crash bang wallop. They look a little bit smoother now, don't they?
Yeah, they do. You're absolutely right. That is the word I'd use. They're more smooth. And like you said, with the fact that they've not lost a lot of those players, I just think that continuity, the players know each other. I wonder if that's just going to be something that gives them that edge at the start of the season compared to other teams that have still got players to be knitted in, or Can they ride it out throughout the season? Yeah, they look really, really good. Like I said, at the same time, I do want to give Manchester United an honourable mention for being really bad. It was just so poor. And it's now 3 points from 3 games. I mean, the win against Fulham on the opening week, I think they did merit that. They left it late and they got it. The defeat to Brighton, Manchester United fans will say it was cruel because of how late the goal came in the game. But this was just so one-sided, and it was in the middle. I mean, I personally think, not trying to pick on Liverpool here, but my one worry would be maybe their midfield is not as strong as Arsenal and Manchester City's, but they just were so much better than Manchester United. The United players didn't want the ball. Liverpool's pressing was fantastic. Their passing, as you say, just so smooth and so comfortable.
Do you think we're going to see the same pattern with Man United, where they have the odd really good win, often in a cup final as well, strangely? They kind of do well against the, like bottom 6, bottom 8, middling, end up in that area where they can still kind of challenge for the Champions League. That's not going to be enough for Ten Hag, is it? Not in season number 3.
You're absolutely right. That's the next thing. It's 3 seasons now, and you expect to see some progress. It was the cup that's really kept him in a job. I don't mean to bring Coventry into this, but if Hadji Wright's toe is not offside, Coventry win that game 4-3. Well, it's a good point. But maybe, that is what it is. I mean, credit to Manchester United for beating City in the final. They were brilliant and they beat a top-class team there. But you're right. It's those little moments, winning those cups that have kept him in. But the league performances, like I say, 8th last season. And honestly, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I do think they could be closer in terms of points to the bottom end than the top end this season. They might still finish top half in terms of positioning, like 7th, 8th or 9th. But you're absolutely right. And you feel the pressure is definitely on Ten Hag here. But at the same time, I do want to say that this problem at Manchester United is deep-rooted. I don't think it's a simple case of Ten Hag goes, someone comes in and they're brilliant. They might have a bounce. We saw that when Ollie came in. They had a really good little run. But how many managers have we seen now since Ferguson? And have any even looked close to taking them back to those glory days? Not in terms of a title race. So, yeah, really deep-rooted problems at Manchester United. Honestly, I wouldn't be confident in any game for Manchester United just because there is that lack of consistency. At the same time, they can turn up for a big game, but they didn't on this occasion. And the credit has to go to Liverpool. I'd love to see them in the title race because we all thought it would probably be Arsenal and Man City again, and Liverpool might be building this season. But so far, so good for them.
Amen. And we'll clip that one out for Matt's channel. So get in the comments and answer those 2 questions from the start of the video. I was going to move on to Arsenal because obviously Liverpool are now clear of Arsenal, because it feels silly to say so early in the season that Arsenal have opened the door up to City now. They actually drew a game. But I just wanted to ask you about that red card for Declan Rice, but it would be sensible. It wasn't a red card. It was a second yellow card, wasn't it? And I think the offence, if I get my rule book out, Matt, is delaying the restart, which you do always get a yellow card for. You see, when the ball goes in the goal and someone holds on to it and they don't let them take the centre quickly, or, I don't know, kicking the ball away in normal senses, is always a yellow card. But it was such a tiny little tap that we're in one of those conversations of, are we applying this completely, strictly with no kind of, if anyone taps the ball, touches it 2 inches, yellow card, or are we going to try and be a bit more sensible? What did you make of the red card for Declan Rice? Because Arsenal possibly go on and win the game without that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've mentioned it was a second yellow. It wasn't a straight red, because people on social media like to whip themselves up into a lava, making out it was a straight red for this. It wasn't a straight red. It was a second yellow. And 2 parts to this. Yes, I think that should be a yellow, because there's nothing more frustrating than delaying a restart. It's obviously to gain an advantage. So you should be punished for that. I think where I would say to the Arsenal fans, I can understand the frustration is maybe there's just that lack of consistency. If everyone that did that got a yellow, then you'd be like, well, that's the rules. But it's not always implemented. And it might be sometimes which referee is more lenient than the other. But you're right, he doesn't kick it very far, but he does still kick it. And it was a Brighton free kick. And then I suppose the theatricals don't help him rolling around because he's also delaying the game there. So I do think it is a second yellow and therefore a red. But at the same time, if we could see that consistent through the Premier League, that would be better, and then there'd be no problems to kick off about. But on the whole, for Arsenal, because of that, obviously they then conceded. Let's give credit to Brighton. Brilliant start to the season, and they're level with them. They're both on 7 points after 3 games. But going back to Liverpool and Man City, they picked up maximum points, so it is 2 points dropped already for Arsenal.
Yeah, and I just think for a player of that standing and level, it's just really silly. I think that whatever you think of the laws and the wording and the application, it's just like, come on, you're on a yellow card. You're midfield players, particularly, they have a switch, don't they? Once they've been booked of any dark arts that I will use to get a slight advantage, I'm not using for the rest of the game, and maybe he should have been in that zone anyway. Before we go to Worldie of the Week, Matt, let's just touch on our got a lot of good feedback appreciating that we talk about the ex-EFL teams and don't just focus on the big boys, and we have focused on the big boys. So I mean, you can pick out anyone you like, really. Maybe Brentford and Southampton, because obviously Brentford have now won 2 games, and it's a bit of a end of an era, isn't it, with Tony going, because you kind of the Brentford growth, when they left Griffin Park and went to the new stadium, I think Ivan Toney was signed at pretty much exactly the same time there. And that was almost the, right, here we go, lift-off period. And now he's gone. And I think you've said before, they're fairly well set up. And Bomo and Visa, I don't know if he got credit with that goal. He kind of bundled it over the line, didn't he? But they've got the 2 wins. Maybe there's an argument it's been a bit of a soft start for them. But what was your take on Brentford 3, Southampton 1? I don't know who the commentators were, but they were going in on Southampton's conceding goals from silly positions. A little bit harsh, I thought, But what's your take on Brentford 3, Southampton 1?
Yeah, it seemed to me like a team that's been a bit more established in the Premier League versus a team figuring themselves out, getting back to the Premier League. And yeah, we have highlighted with Southampton that their style of play could cost them. If it works, it works. I mean, we'll talk about their goal later, which is a really nice goal. But by that point, it's game over. Brentford just more organised and probably knew how to play against Southampton. They just sort of pressed them. And you look at the goals, it's 2 mistakes from Southampton giving the ball away. And we saw that in the Newcastle game. They did that as well, didn't they? And then the third one's just a long throw-in and they don't deal with it. But yeah, with Brentford, you're right. I mean, Tony came there when they moved, which was 2020. So that's 4 years now. He's been a great servant, but it's their project. It's how they move. And I'm not worried for them. Tony is a fantastic player. And, with any other club, it'd be a massive loss. But you look at Mbeumo and Visa, who did fill in when he wasn't able to play last season. I think Brentford will be fine. Going on to what you said about Brentford having possibly a soft start, I would have probably predicted them to get 4 points from these 3. I thought they might draw with Palace, lose to Liverpool, then beat Southampton. So the fact they won that Palace game as well, this is above average. I mean, it's good. It's a good start for Brentford. Win those home games against teams in the middle and down the bottom. And that's, for me, why Brentford should be able to steer clear of any trouble down the bottom. As for Southampton, I'd say their start's been nice enough and they've still picked nothing up. I mean, they've got their first goal now, but they lost to 10 men. Newcastle lost at home to Forest. And this one was fairly comfortable for Brentford. So, yeah, really concerned for Southampton. And I like Russell Martin. I really hope his style of football works, but not so far.
And a big circle around Southampton versus Ipswich in the middle of September, which both teams are going to be like, right, this is the first win. And as we know, simple fact, that cannot be the case. They cannot both win that game, can they? So
I was just about to mention that game, Ben. That game is massive for both.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just going to enjoy my international break before the terror of Brighton away, and then that massive game. Right, let's move on to Worldie of the Week. So let me just quickly give mine first, Matt, because we just talked about the Brentford Southampton game, and I've actually picked out. Excuse my pronunciation on these Asian names, but Sugawara. Are we happy with that for Southampton? Absolutely brilliant goal though. Shaded left foot half volley, spinning away from the keeper, and then posting in is always a winner with me, Matt. You can't put it any further in the corner than posting in. Absolutely superb goal. So, but to your point, not a very sustainable way to score goals. Absolute worldies like that. Who have you gone for?
Yeah, no, I love that goal, and at the same time, so many honourable mentions this week. So many good goals. I'll quickly run through a few of mine. Havertz, the chip against Brighton, that's a nice goal. Eze's goal, really like that. I think Haaland's second goal. I like Delap's goal. It's a good finish for Ipswich. And I really like that Southampton goal. I'm not trying to be too picky, but if that wasn't just a consolation, it might have won it for me. I'm going to go for Bellegarde's goal for Wolves against Forest. I just love that kind of strike. I mean, just sits up from really sort of invitingly. But, everyone sort of pictures those always flying into the top corner. They don't always. It's got to be spot on, and it was spot on the way it sort of dipped into the back of the net. And it got Wolves their first point of the season, so quite a poignant goal as well. So I'll go for Bellegarde's goal for Wolves away at Nottingham Forest.
And the timing as well, Matt, because Forest have started well. We bigged them up last week on the show. They take the lead after 10 minutes, and that one flies in 2 minutes later. And we know how that stadium gets at Forest. If it gets noisy, you can get pulled under, and they've been really good at home. So, yeah, that's a good shout there. Bellegarde. And let me just throw in a couple of honourable mentions. A really, really clever free kick by Aston Villa. It's hard. Now, everyone's got not one, but like multiple set play analysts and specific set play staff in every club. It's hard to find something original on a free kick. And you're younger than me. I remember Arsenal it was Sheffield Wednesday against Arsenal. Someone correct me in the comments, but I think John Harkes, and it was like in a cup final where the guy runs over the ball and then they actually play him through. So I think I have seen it before, but not for many, many years. That was a great free kick, and Villa keep on trucking. And yeah, the other one I had down was Eze. And Matt, we're EFL guys. People raving about Eze. We're like, yeah, we know. We saw it at QPR. We know exactly what that guy is capable of. So there you go. Worldie of the week, Sugawara and Bellegarde. And we're moving on to We Need to Talk About. Right, Matt, I know I'm very unfair to Manchester City and always just say boring whenever we talk about them because they just win every week. But there's a balance here with us football fans where it's okay to be bored by their complete relentless brilliance, but we do have to acknowledge their complete relentless brilliance. And I want to talk to you about Haaland this week because I know he's started seasons in ridiculous fashion before. And I actually saw him score a hat-trick for Man City against Nottingham Forest in a 6-0. And that would have been when he first arrived. And something similar to this, where he just scored hat-tricks and twos at the start of every single season. But we are now moving into a sensible conversation, which isn't hyperbole. He's in his third season, about whether he is and I'll let you have your say on this, whether he's already becoming one of the greatest strikers of Premier League history, or is he destined to become the greatest striker in Premier League history? Because it almost looks like, unless he gets a big injury or he leaves, he decides, I only want to do 3, 4, 5 years in the Premier League, and then I'm going to go to Spain or Italy or whatever. I'm not entirely sure why he would when the Premier League is, so moneyed. Well, maybe there's a reason in November why he might want to leave, but I'm sure we'll get to that on many shows when that court case is actually happening. But just absolutely insane. I've got the numbers. He's actually already scored 97 goals for Man City in 102 games total, 70 in 69 in the Premier League. So this is the same numbers that Messi and Ronaldo used to do. But I think we would all agree some of those games against the bottom half teams in Spain are regularly, even in the away games, 5-0, 6-0 a lot of the time. And, those two, and this is not me saying those two aren't maybe the two best players that ever existed, but their numbers certainly got padded in a way that Haaland can't at, Manchester City. So that's 231 club goals, and he's 24 years old. And the names that are always going to come up are Shearer obviously has the most goals, but I think we need to be a bit more nuanced, Matt, in the conversation of, is it necessarily the bloke with the most goals is the greatest striker? Some people would say it is, fair enough. But the thing with Shearer is he obviously started right at the start of the Premier League era in the 4-4-2 era. And all I would say is, I know he was still the best of his generation, but always a strike partner, loads of crosses into the box, loads of his goals, even before Blackburn at Southampton, and just the ball's booted over the top and he chases in behind and scores. And you're kind of like, it's very different. I'm not saying it's easier or harder, but it's very different now. And you almost have to compare with Harry Kane, who's got 213. And I suppose Rooney was even a bit more different because he was such a, different type of player, playing down the wing or whatnot. The other argument, before I close, Matt, and you can have your say, is Haaland does play for the best team by a mile, and Shearer won the title, but Newcastle were never the best team with the most money and the best coach. And he is, I don't know whether we'll look at him as just a physical freak of nature outlier who's so big, but yet so fast as well. So I think where I am is that he's not there yet. And you can talk about Aguero and Henry as well. And Henry, again, is very different, going out to the wing and dribbling and things of that nature and not just being down the middle. By the way, when I saw him score that hat-trick against Forest, all the goals were from 6 yards and it was all poachers' goals and just clever forward play. But I think my conclusion, Matt, is that he is going to become the greatest ever Premier League striker and the top scorer, unless A, injury, B, 1-1-5 and Man City get relegated down 3 divisions, which I don't think will happen, but or C, he goes and signs for Real Madrid. What is your take on Erling Haaland and my sort of premise that he will become the greatest Premier League striker ever?
Yeah, you're right. It's down to how long is he going to stay, and if he does go, would he come back? I mean, it's all that sort of thing. Because I want to draw reference to Harry Kane. If he didn't go to Bayern, I think we all expected him to beat Shearer's record, and that was, the talking point, because Kane's numbers are incredible. You look at what he's doing at Bayern; he's just carrying on, scoring loads of goals. It's a very good point you mentioned about Messi and Ronaldo, the numbers they used to put up. But I don't know. This isn't just Premier League snobbery, but this is a very difficult league. We do think it is the best league in the world, because even the teams down the bottom scrap and they give you a hard game. And
look what they spend, Matt, compared to the teams at the bottom of the Premier League spend the same as the top teams in Italy and Spain.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could just talk about the whole English football pyramid, because even the Championship, which we love to cover, has got money filtering down into it. But yeah, I mean, some of the names we're talking about here, Shearer and Kane, like you said, very good point. They didn't play for teams that were winning the league. Kane played for Spurs, who've come, third in their best season with him there. Shearer, he did win the league with Blackburn, of course, but even for Newcastle, they weren't really challenging. Whereas Man City, obviously, they're just this monopoly and they just win everything. And look, it's easy because we're all so used to it to just be like, oh, they win everything and they got the best. But Haaland is still an incredible player, and he just fits that system perfectly because, I mean, he's got all the attributes. He could do it on his own, or he could do it in a team. He could do it inside the box. He can do it outside the box, left foot, right foot, header. I love, like you say, his pace, but his height. He's just so well-rounded. He's what everyone would want in the Premier League. And Man City, of course, got him. And like you say, the numbers he's putting up doesn't seem to pick up too many injuries. You know, some top strikers do. I mean, of course, I need to mention he's in my fantasy team as my captain.
You did not captain when he scored a hat-trick against Ipswich, did you?
I did, I'm afraid.
Matt, I'm going to sulk now.
Ben, he's been captain for all 3 games. It's not an Ipswich thing. And I remember saying to Sophie before the season started, are you not going to have Haaland? And she had Watkins, who's not started the season too great just yet. But you just know now with Haaland. I mean, the numbers he's putting up, if he stays for, I don't know, 4 or 5 more years, I'm sure he will start breaking those records. It's just, like you say, he's 24. He's younger than me. I mean, that's just crazy. He's just incredible, the numbers he's putting up. And I just don't see it stopping anytime soon. I mean, what is it? 7 goals in 3 so far this season. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, full of plaudits. I mean, before Haaland, we'd have been saying Aguero, best Manchester City striker of the Premier League generation. And it looks like Haaland's going to zoom past him and, like you say, start chasing down Shearer and Kane for their numbers now.
There you go. Get involved in the comments. It's a good debate, isn't it? It's all a bit of fun. Where is Haaland heading in terms of the list of the greatest Premier League strikers of all time? I think we both think, unless something strange happens, all the way to the top. Guys, we want to say a massive, massive thank you for watching, and really thank you for the support. I don't want to be like a broken record, Matt, but we're both a little bit nervous about doing Premier League and upsetting our EFL fans who we love, but we're trying so carefully to balance this and make sure it's just a day a week around the Championship and EFL stuff, and people have been really, really cool about it. What we do want to ask is, would you like to see this? Would it help if we put this down as an audio show as well? Give us your feedback. Honest feedback is fine. We don't mind it as long as it's not insulting in any way. There's just no need for that, is there? And you can answer a question without insulting me or Matt. Let us know if you want this to go down Spotify, if you want it for your dog walk or your gym visit or the washing up or whatever, or you just don't want to look at mine or Matt's faces, which is, you know, it's entirely up to you. But Matt, have you enjoyed the first 3 weeks?
I have. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. Like I say, please do support us. And like Ben said, it doesn't have to be a case of Championship or Premier League. Have both. Enjoy both bits of content. And while we're on the conversation, enjoy a bit of League One that we're doing this season as well. It doesn't have to be Championship and nothing else. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like we said earlier, Ben, it's just frustrating that we've got an international break already. But
he hates the international break.
Yeah, that applies to the Championship as well. But it'll be really, really good when we get past the first 3 international breaks and we get into that Christmas period where the Premier League games are all sort of crammed together, and that will separate the men from the boys. Yeah, really enjoying it, Ben. So, yeah, keep supporting us, guys, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah, great stuff. Make sure you go and check out the clips on Matt's channel and go and subscribe over there as well. And as he mentioned, we're doing the League One predictions in there. And I'm sure we'll have many ideas, but if you've got any suggestions for the first 50% of next week's show, where we'll have no games to talk about, if there's any type of list or ranking or debate that you want us to deal with, stick it in the comments, and we will certainly consider it, because you can see Matt really, really hates the international break. But don't worry, Matt, it's all going to be over soon, and we'll be back next week with another Premier League Check-In podcast.